'89 and Returns, but those three, what more could you really ask for a Batman movie? And I guess we'll find out if Matt Reeves gets his way, but those are definitely up there for me.
You know what's crazy about Dark Knight? I had to deal with so many Dark Knight fans. So
that's one of those movies that really had the Fight Club syndrome, where everybody was like either Tyler Durden or Joker talking about, waxing poetic about philosophy and anarchy, and I'm like, okay, I get it.
But like, hey Mark, what are your favorite movies from the 1970s? Oh, I like Star Wars, I like Alien. Well, where's Dark Knight? I'm like, wait, that's not in the 70s. Like, but that's what the fans were. So I'm kind of projecting this onto myself. I mean, the cinematography by Deakins is brilliant. I mean, second to none. It's probably the best looking superhero movie ever made.
Was it Pope or was it Deakins? I don't think it was.
Deakins did. I thought Deakins did Dark Knight.
I thought Deakins did Interstellar, but I could be mixing them up. At any rate, yeah, the cinematography is superb, and obviously the performances are great. And I don't love Batman's grumble voice, but I do recognize it for being literally transcendent.
Oh, it was
for what the genre is.
Wally Pfister.
Pfister. Yeah.
Yeah, they went and did.
It could be Pfeister, actually. I don't know if his name is Pfister, but yeah, the cinematography is excellent. And they obviously did the IMAX for a lot of those scenes too.
Oh, the opening scene. I mean, that was just brilliant.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger took it next level. All right, hey, number one.
So I was hoping this would be a bit of a surprise, because maybe you or anybody who actually knows me listening would have expected me to say Batman '89 or Returns, but maybe I feel like I'm betraying my real feelings on this, but I do think if I think long and hard about this, and I think, point for point, my favorite superhero movie might be Mask of the Phantasm.
Wow.
I do think it's, in and of itself, the single best iteration of Batman we will ever get. I think it has every element that's necessary and vital. I think we have the best Batman voicing him. I think the story, being as tragic as it is, works really well. The whodunit aspect, the dark deco, obviously you got the Joker, who isn't the main villain. It just feels perfect. It really does in every way. You get a little bit of everything, and they spend time a little bit on the origin, not too much, but the scenes that delve into those bits of history, they feel weighty and they feel important. And that's not something you would expect from an animated movie, right? That came at the tail end, that followed something like Batman Returns. Even at that age when I was a kid, I was like, oh, it's coming to movie theaters, so this is going to be a good movie. And it was. And I don't think I appreciated it quite as much at the time, because I love the cartoon. I still love the cartoon. And my love for that cartoon has only, grown stronger with age. But, again, to think about that kind of a movie, that animated movie that made it to theaters, I don't know. It just feels so serendipitous. So that's probably my number one. And I could go on and on about it, but Mask of the Phantasm I feel pretty confident with.
Unbreakable was my number one.
That's fair. And I bet you're excited for Glass.
Yeah. It'll be good.
I hope so.
I mean,
it looks like Shyamalan's back on track, hopefully.
Yeah. Do you know I wrote an article back in 2014 saying he needed to go back to, or 2013 saying he needed to go back to $5 million movies, and then he made The Visit, and then he made the other one, and now he's back up. So he probably read my article, and that's why he's here.
But you heard it here first. His success is all credited to you.
I just love Unbreakable because, so Mr. Glass, Samuel Jackson, is a guy who his bones break. So he thinks, hey, there's probably someone on the flip side. So he does some horrendous things just seeing what will happen. Right. And that, like, just saying that gives me goosebumps. Like, that's an amazing villain right there. And he reads all the comic books. He's aware of them. He has an upscale comic shop. Like, before comics were cool, he had this...
it is a very meta movie in that way, and I think it's meta in a way that doesn't seem overly self-serving. And it feels like organic.
And I love when he fights the prisoner guy, because that's one of the most nightmarish sequences I've ever seen. He follows the dude in a yellow jumpsuit to a place, and the guy's just standing over a emaciated woman spitting beer on her. It's just like, it's a nightmare scenario. scenario, whatever.
Yeah, and that's another movie that really goes against type, right? It sort of challenges those conventions that are well founded by now. Because that movie came out when?
2000.
Okay, so it was before the big boom again, but it wasn't what you would call a superhero movie.
Well, let me check real quick. Unbreakable. So he made, Sixth Sense comes out in 99. Yeah, 2000. Sixth Sense comes out in 99. Everyone's expecting the greatest movie. Unbreakable drops. And people are like, oh, it's all right. It didn't get, but I think I don't know. I think it's brilliant. I think just for him to churn that out in a year with the plot it has, with the cast, I thought Bruce Willis really brought a lot to it. I know it has the somber tone of a Shyamalan movie, but that's just the world that it's in. And I don't know. I just love the idea of Mr. Glass. I think that's just a brilliant villain. There's someone the opposite. I know it's super simple, but there's someone out there who's the opposite, so I'm going to do these things.
Yeah, and I look for that kind of simplicity in movies. I think that's why Halloween ranks so high for me. But that sort of adoration, I think, and appreciation for Unbreakable is certainly evident with I don't think any of your listeners have not heard this by now, but with the surprise twist at the end of, what was the James McAvoy?
Oh, Split.
Split, yeah. And then, of course, with this new movie, I think it's a surprise world building, right? People didn't anticipate this getting a sequel the way it did.
Yeah, I almost picked my wife up and ran around the theater with her.
Is that how you found out? You found out in the theater?
Yeah, I didn't know. Because I try to stay away from a lot of stuff.
Right.
And so when I found out, I was just like, oh my gosh. And then, the trailers look to be expanding the world. I like the idea of it, but I just love how simple it was. I'm a huge Sam Jackson fan. I liked his different kind of role. I don't know. What a brilliant idea. I don't know. So that's my number one.
That's fair.
Man, pick. Thank you for joining us, bringing your Batman Returns expertise.
Yeah, well, who knows how many more movies I'm good for. I feel like my list of obsessive, fanatical movies is dwindling after Halloween in this.
Oh, there's no more?
No, I assure you, there's definitely more.
All right, well, we'll make that a series. Your obsessions.
No,
it makes my job easier. I can just I can set you off, and then I can hang out. Go get a burger. Throw the lettuce. Throw the lettuce. You don't like things I say. I wish there was like what are those emojis that you can throw. You'll just get a lettuce on your phone.
Yeah, well, your listeners will miss out on that.
That's right.
Yeah.
But this was a lot of fun. I've been wanting to talk about this movie for a long time, and you were a perfect guest to have on. So this is a movie that it's worth talking about, and I love this movie. It just has personality. So I'm glad we got to do it. But all right. So stay tuned for next week. I got a ton of things coming up. We got let's see. We have Reign of Fire coming up. We have Rio Bravo versus High Noon. That's a really fun one that we're going to do. 2 Westerns that are completely different on purpose. And then we have Home Alone 1 and 2. So we got 3 of those coming up. And then whatever Adam is obsessive about will be on the way soon. But thank you so much for listening. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, and for Adam Clement, this is Movies, Filmed, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.